The morning sun rose over New Serenity like any other day. The colony sat peacefully on the edge of explored space, far from the busy trade routes and political centers of the galaxy. Here, families had built simple lives. They farmed, they worked, they raised their children in safety, or so they thought. Hyunwoo checked his watch as he walked toward the education complex. His wife Mireille walked beside him talking about dinner plans. They were early, arriving 15 minutes before pickup time. Other parents would arrive soon to collect their children after the school day ended. The building looked normal from outside. The lights were on. The doors were unlocked. But when Hyunwoo pushed through the entrance, something felt wrong. The hallways were too quiet. No sound of children laughing or talking. No teachers calling out instructions. Just silence. "Hello?" Mireille called out. Her voice echoed off empty walls. They walked faster now, checking classrooms one by one. Each room was empty. Desks sat abandoned. Books lay open on tables. A half-finished drawing rested on the floor, as if someone had dropped it suddenly. But no children, no teachers, no one. Hyunwoo broke into a run. He checked every room, every closet, every corner. Mirai was shouting now, calling for their son Taeyang and daughter Nari. Other parents arrived and joined the search. Soon dozens of people were running through the building, panic rising in their voices. The security office held the first clue. The computer systems were dead, not powered off, but completely fried. Someone had destroyed them from inside, wiping all data. The cameras had recorded nothing. The alarm systems had been disabled hours ago without anyone noticing. Colony Administrator Junho arrived within minutes of the first emergency call. He ordered a complete search of the settlement. Every building, every vehicle, every possible hiding spot. Volunteers spread out across New Serenity, calling names, looking everywhere. Hours passed. The sun began to set. Still nothing. By nightfall, the terrible truth became clear. 23 children were gone, simply vanished. The youngest was 5 years old. The oldest was 14. Among them were Taeyang, age 12, and his little sister Nari, only 8. Hyunwoo sat in the administrator's office, his face pale. Mireille couldn't stop crying. Around them, other parents looked lost and broken. Some were angry, demanding answers. Others sat in shocked silence. Junho stood before them, trying to maintain calm. "We've sent an emergency signal to Earth and to the Galactic Council. Help is coming." "When?" Hyunwoo's voice was hoarse. "When will they arrive?" Junho hesitated. "The Council said 3 to 4 weeks. They need to process the request, assign investigators, arrange transport. 3 weeks!" A father named Dongyun stood up, his fists clenched. "Our children could be anywhere in the galaxy by then." "Earth is sending someone faster," Junho said quickly. "They promised a response within days." But days felt like forever to parents whose children had disappeared. That night, no one in New Serenity slept. Search parties continued through the darkness, though everyone knew it was hopeless. Whatever had taken the children had left no trace. The investigation team arrived the next morning. 3 specialists from the nearest council outpost. They examined the education complex with careful precision. They took samples, ran scans, and asked questions. By evening, they had their conclusion. The lead investigator, a tall alien with blue skin and too many fingers, delivered the news. "This was done by professionals. Very sophisticated technology was used. The transport signature suggests a Vrakesh vessel, though we cannot be certain." "Vrakesh?" Mirai asked. "What do they want with our children?" The investigator's face showed something like pity. "The Vrakesh are traders. They deal in rare items and unusual specimens. Humans are still new to the galactic community. Your children would be considered exotic." The words hit like a physical blow. Exotic. Specimens. These aliens had taken their children to sell them like merchandise. Hyunwoo stood up slowly. "Where would they take them?" "That is difficult to say. The Vrakesh operate across many sectors. They could be heading to any number of auction sites or private buyers. The galaxy is very large. Then we need to start searching, Dongyun said. Give us ships. We'll go ourselves. The investigator shook his head. Space travel between species requires permits and authorizations. The proper channels must be followed. The Council will handle this matter according to established protocols. Protocols? Hyun-woo's voice shook. You're talking about forms and procedures while our children are being taken further away every hour? I understand your frustration, but there are rules. The galaxy operates on these rules. Without them, there would be chaos. The parents erupted in anger. They shouted and argued, but the investigators remained firm. Rules were rules. Procedures must be followed. The Council would investigate in due time. Have patience. Wait for the system to work. That night was the darkest New Serenity had ever known. Parents held each other and wept. The colony that had been so peaceful now felt like a graveyard. Somewhere out in the vast darkness of space, their children were scared and alone. Mireille sat by the window, staring at the stars. They told us the galaxy was civilized, she whispered. They said joining the galactic community meant safety. They said there were laws. Hyun-woo had no answer. He thought about Taeyang, who loved building things and asking questions about how machines worked. He thought about Nari, who made friends with everyone and always shared her lunch with kids who forgot theirs. Were they hurt? Were they scared? Were they even still alive? The Galactic Council's response arrived 3 days later. A formal message expressing sympathy and assuring the colonists that proper procedures were being followed. An investigation had been opened. All appropriate forms had been filed. Results could be expected in 6 to 8 months. 6 to 8 months. The parents read the message in Junho's office. Several people started crying again. Others just stared at the words in disbelief. This was the great galactic civilization they had been so eager to join. This was the advanced society that looked down on humanity as primitive newcomers. And when human children were stolen, the response was paperwork and patience. Dongyun crumpled the message in his fist. We should never have left Earth. But Hyun-woo was looking out the window. A ship had just entered orbit, moving fast. It wasn't a council vessel. The design was human, military, and it was coming down now, not waiting for clearance or permission. Something in Hyun-woo's chest stirred. Maybe, just maybe, someone had heard their screams. Someone who wouldn't wait for forms to be filed. Someone who understood that when children are taken, you don't follow protocols, you hunt. The ship landed without asking permission. It came down hard and fast in the open field next to the colony's main building. The design was pure military, all sharp angles and dark metal. No civilian markings, no decorations, just function and threat. Junho rushed outside with several colonists behind him. This was highly irregular. Ships were supposed to request landing clearance, submit identification, follow proper approach vectors. This vessel had done none of that. It simply arrived like a hammer falling from the sky. The loading ramp dropped. Steam hissed into the morning air. A figure appeared at the top of the ramp, silhouetted against the ship's internal lights. She descended slowly, and as she came into view, Hyun-woo felt his breath catch. She was tall for a human woman, dressed in black military fatigues with no rank insignia visible. Her dark hair was pulled back tight. Her face was young, maybe 30, but her eyes looked much older. She moved with absolute confidence, like someone who had walked into dangerous places many times before. Behind her came 6 more figures, all in similar black uniforms. They carried weapons openly, not the ceremonial sidearms that colony security wore, but serious military hardware, the kind meant for war. Junho stepped forward, trying to maintain some authority. I'm Administrator Junho. You need to identify yourself and explain this unauthorized landing. The woman stopped a few meters away. When she spoke, Her voice was calm, but cold. "Princess Bora of the Terran Royal Navy, Special Operations Command. I'm here about the children." The title caused murmurs through the crowd. Earth's royal family was known even out here. They weren't just ceremonial figures. They served in the military, led from the front, and the princess standing before them had a reputation. Stories were told about her actions during the Outer Colonies War. None of them were gentle stories. "Your Highness," Junho said, clearly uncomfortable. "We appreciate your concern, but the Galactic Council has this matter under control. Proper procedures are being followed." Bora's expression didn't change. "How many children were taken?" 23, but how long ago? 3 days, however. What has the Council done in those 3 days? Junho hesitated. "They've opened an investigation, filed the necessary reports. They assure us that—" "Nothing," Bora said flatly. "They've done nothing. Words on forms while the trail gets colder." She looked past Junho to the parent standing behind him. Her eyes found Hyunwoo. "You're Hyunwoo? Yoonji's guardian?" Hyunwoo blinked in surprise. "You know about Yoonji?" "Her mother was Lieutenant Soman. She served in my unit, saved my life during the Battle of Proxima Station. I held her hand when she died." Her last words were about her daughter. Bora's voice softened slightly. "I promised Soman I would look after Yoonji. I keep my promises." Mirai stepped forward. "Our children were taken by slavers. The Council says we have to wait months for their investigation." Bora's jaw tightened. "The Council follows protocols. I follow results." She turned to Junho. "I need a space to set up operations, access to your communication systems, and cooperation from anyone who has information." "Your Highness, with respect, this is a Council matter now. We can't just—" "Administrator." Bora's voice dropped lower, and suddenly the temperature seemed to fall. "Those children have been in enemy hands for 72 hours. Every hour that passes, they get further away. Every minute wasted on protocol is another minute they're scared and alone. Now, I didn't fly across 3 sectors to have a debate. I'm here to bring them home. You can help me or you can stay out of my way. Choose quickly." The silence that followed was heavy. No one had ever spoken to Junho like that. The Galactic Council representatives would be outraged. There would be complaints and diplomatic incidents. But as Hyunwoo looked at the administrator's face, he saw the man reach a decision. "Use the conference room," Junho said quietly. "I'll have our systems made available to you." Bora nodded once, then turned to the parents. "I need to speak with all of you. Everything you remember about that day. Every detail about your children. What they look like, how they act, anything that makes them unique. It all matters." For the next 2 hours, Bora and her team interviewed every parent. They were thorough and efficient, asking questions the Council investigators never had. Not just about the abduction, but about the children themselves, their personalities, their fears, their strengths. When it was Hyunwoo and Mirai's turn, they sat across from Bora in the conference room. One of her team members, a woman introduced only as So-young, took notes on a computer that looked far more advanced than anything the colony owned. "Tell me about Tae-yang and Nari," Bora said. Mirai pulled out her phone, showing pictures. "Tae-yang is 12. He's smart, loves machines and puzzles. He's responsible, always looking after his sister. Nari is 8. She's friendly, talks to everyone. She's scared of the dark, but tries to be brave." "Good," Bora said. "When the Vrakesh took them, Tae-yang would have tried to protect the younger children. He'll be looking for opportunities. Nari will follow his lead because she trusts her brother." She made a note. "That helps." "How does that help?" Hyunwoo asked. "Because when we find them, I need to know who will run toward us and who might freeze from fear. I need to know who might try to fight back and get hurt. Details save lives." Hyunwoo leaned forward. You really think you can find them? The galaxy is enormous. They could be anywhere. Bora looked directly into his eyes. The galaxy is big, but space leaves trails. The Vrakesh think they're safe because the Council won't pursue them aggressively into lawless sectors. But I'm not the Council. She paused. Your children are out there, scared, waiting for someone to come. I'm going to be that someone. Why? Mireille asked. You're a princess. Why risk yourself for colony children? Because I made a promise to Yoonji's mother. Because those children are human, and I don't abandon my own. And because... Bora's expression hardened. The Vrakesh need to learn something. You don't take human children. You don't make us into merchandise. And if you do, there will be consequences. Not paperwork. Not investigations. Real consequences. After the interviews concluded, Bora gathered her team in the conference room. The parents were asked to leave, but Hyunwoo noticed through the window how the soldiers moved. They weren't just military. They were something else. Predators preparing to hunt. That evening, Bora addressed the entire colony in the main hall. Hundreds of people crowded inside, desperate for any hope. She stood on the stage. No notes, no preparation. Just cold certainty. The Vrakesh took your children 3 days ago. They think distance and laws will protect them. They're wrong. My team and I are leaving within the hour. We will track them, we will find them, and we will bring your children home. How can you be sure? Someone called out. Bora smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Because the Vrakesh are used to prey species that follow rules. They're used to civilized responses and measured actions. They've never dealt with humans who are angry. She paused. They're about to learn why Earth didn't join the galactic community sooner. We're not like the other species. We don't forgive threats to our young. We don't forget. And we don't stop. As she left the stage, Hyunwoo caught her arm. Bring them home, please. Bora looked at him, and for just a moment the cold mask cracked. I will, she said simply, or I won't come back. The black ship lifted off an hour later, disappearing into the night sky. The colony watched it go, and for the first time in 3 days, some of them felt something other than despair. They felt hope. And somewhere out in the darkness, predators who had never known fear were about to discover it. The ship's interior was nothing like the comfortable civilian vessels that traveled between colonies. This was a military craft, built for one purpose. Every surface was functional, every system was optimized for speed and combat. The ship even had a name painted inside the airlock in stark white letters, Silent Vengeance. Bora stood in the command center as the ship jumped into faster-than-light travel. Around her, her team moved with practiced efficiency. These weren't regular soldiers. They were specialists, each one selected for skills that went beyond normal military training. Status report, Bora said. A man approached from the navigation station. He was in his late 30s, with gray starting to show at his temples. His movements were economical, wasting no energy. This was Captain Daeho, and his calm demeanor fooled many people into thinking he was soft. Those people were always wrong. We're 3 hours from the first search zone, Daeho reported. So-young has been working on the Vrakesh communication intercepts. She has something. So-young looked up from her computer station. She was younger than Daeho, maybe 28, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Before joining Special Operations, she had worked in intelligence, learning to hack systems that most humans didn't even know existed. She spoke 4 alien languages fluently and could break encryption that made other experts give up. I've been monitoring Vrakesh transmissions across 3 sectors, So-young explained. Most of it is routine trade talk, but I found something interesting. A coded message sent from the Outer Rim 2 days ago. It mentions a special cargo heading to the Krivath sector. High value, limited availability, auction scheduled in 1 week. Could be anything, Daeho observed. Could be, So-young agreed. Except the message uses a specific code phrase, translates roughly to fresh exotics. That's Vrakesh slang for newly acquired specimens from recently contacted species. Bora leaned over the display. Humans are the newest species in the galactic community. If they're advertising fresh exotics, it's our children. She straightened. Can you trace the source? Already done. Message originated from a supply station called Vrakta 9. It's a refueling stop in neutral space. No law enforcement, no regulations. Perfect place to lay low. Then that's where we start. Bora turned to address the rest of the team. Everyone, briefing in 10 minutes. Get ready. The team assembled in the tactical room. Besides Bora, Daeho, and So-young, 3 others made up the unit. Each of them brought unique skills that made this group extremely dangerous. Sergeant Ji-won was the heavy weapons specialist. Built like a bear, he could carry equipment that would crush a normal person. But his real talent wasn't just firepower. It was creative destruction. Ji-won could look at any structure and immediately see how to bring it down. He understood explosives the way artists understood paint. His smile was friendly, but his eyes held a certain madness that made even his teammates uncomfortable sometimes. Corporal Minho was the opposite of Ji-won. Slim and quiet, he moved like a shadow. Before the military, Minho had studied xenobiology, learning how different alien species thought and acted. This made him perfect for tracking. He could read an alien's behavior patterns, predict their moves, find them when they tried to hide. He rarely spoke, but when he did, people listened. Private Hana was the youngest, barely 25. She was the team medic, trained to keep people alive in the worst conditions. But there was something unsettling about Hana. She smiled too much, especially during combat. Other soldiers whispered that she volunteered for the most dangerous missions on purpose. Looking for payback after her family was killed in a pirate raid. Bora had approved her for this mission specifically because of that hunger for justice. The team gathered around the holographic display showing Vrakta 9. The station was small, built into an asteroid for protection. Only 2 docking ports, limited sensors. It looked like an easy target. Don't be fooled, Bora said. The Vrakesh chose this place because it's defensible. 2 entry points means they can watch both easily. We need to assume they're paranoid and well-armed. Good, Ji-won rumbled. I like a challenge. Bora smiled slightly. Our objective is information. We need to confirm the children were there and find out where they went next. This is a surgical strike. In and out before they can call for help. Daeho studied the display. Standard breach protocol? Hit both docking ports simultaneously, secure the command center? No. Bora zoomed in on the asteroid's surface. We go through the rock. Ji-won, can you make us an entrance? Ji-won's eyes lit up. Give me 30 seconds and some charges. I'll make you a door they'll never forget. Minho, once we're inside, I need you to grab the first Vrakesh you find and make them cooperative. Can you do that quietly? Minho nodded once. His idea of quietly might still involve some screaming, but Bora trusted his judgment. So-young, you're with me going straight to their computer systems. I need everything. Communication logs, cargo manifests, navigation records. Strip it clean. What about prisoners? Hana asked, her smile never wavering. Only if they talk immediately, Bora said coldly. We don't have time for long interrogations. Anyone who fights gets put down. Anyone who runs gets stopped. Anyone who cooperates gets to live. Make sure they understand that choice clearly. The team checked their equipment. Weapons were loaded and tested. Armor systems activated. Each soldier ran through their mental checklist, preparing for violence. This wasn't their first raid, and it wouldn't be their last. But this one was personal. Children had been taken. That made it different. Daeho approached Bora privately as the others prepared. The Council is going to be furious when they find out what we're doing. This is outside our jurisdiction. If something goes wrong, then I take full responsibility, Bora interrupted. This mission is mine. If there are consequences, they fall on me alone. That's not what I meant. Daeho's voice was quiet. I meant, what if we're too late? What if the children are already gone, already sold, already... He didn't finish, but Bora understood. Then we keep hunting. We track every buyer. We burn down every station that helped. And we make sure everyone in this galaxy knows what happens when you touch Earth's children. She met his eyes. I'm not stopping, Daeho. Not until they're home, or I'm dead. Daeho nodded slowly. He had served with Bora for 8 years. He knew that tone. She meant every word. The team is with you, whatever it takes. 2 hours later, the Silent Vengeance dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Vrakta 9. The station's sensors pinged them immediately, demanding identification. So-young sent back a fake ID, claiming they were merchants looking to trade. The station's response was suspicious, but allowed them to approach. After all, Vrakta 9 existed because of customers who didn't ask questions. One more ship wasn't unusual. The Silent Vengeance drifted closer, looking like just another trader. But inside, the team was already moving. Jiwon had his charges ready. Minho was checking his tranquilizer gun. Hana was humming softly while organizing her medical supplies, though the supplies she grabbed first were the kind used to wake people up for interrogation, not heal them. Bora stood in the airlock, checking her weapon one last time. Behind her, Daeho did the same. Through the ship's external cameras, she could see the asteroid station growing larger. Somewhere inside that rock were answers, maybe even the children themselves. 2 minutes, So-young's voice came through their communication devices. Bora activated her helmet seal. Remember, we're not here to fight the whole station. Get in, get information, get out. Stay focused. What if they get in our way? Jiwon asked. Bora's voice went cold. Then they learn why humans are called the galaxy's apex predators. The Silent Vengeance moved into position, and the hunt began. The Silent Vengeance attached to the asteroid surface like a parasite finding a host. No docking at the official ports, no announcements, just a silent landing on the station's blind side where sensors couldn't track them properly. Jiwon moved first, placing shaped charges against the rocky surface in a precise pattern. He worked with the concentration of a surgeon, though what he was preparing was anything but healing. Charges set, he whispered into his communication device. Breaching in 10 seconds. The team stacked up behind him. Weapons ready. Bora was second in line, followed by Daeho, then Minho, So-young, and Hana bringing up the rear. They wore sealed combat armor painted in black that absorbed light. In the darkness of space, they were nearly invisible. "Breach!" Bora commanded. The explosion was controlled but violent. Rock and metal blew inward, creating a hole directly into the station's maintenance level. Air rushed out for a moment before emergency seals activated. The team was already moving through, weapons up, scanning for targets. The maintenance level was empty, just machinery and storage crates. But alarms were screaming now throughout the station. The Vrakesh knew something was wrong. "Minho, find me a target," Bora ordered. The scout moved ahead like smoke, checking corners and corridors. His helmet sensors picked up heat signatures 2 levels above. "Contact," he reported. "Multiple signatures moving toward our breach point. They're coming to investigate." "Perfect." Bora signaled the team to take positions. "Let them come to us." The Vrakesh arrived in a group of 5. They were tall creatures, reptilian in appearance with green-brown scales and too many joints in their arms. They carried energy weapons that glowed with unstable power. These weren't professional soldiers. They were thugs playing at security. They died before understanding what killed them. Daiho dropped the first two with precise shots to their center mass. Bora took the third with a burst that caught it mid-turn. The last two tried to run, but Minho was already behind them. His shots were silent, using compressed air weapons that the Vrakesh never heard coming. 5 seconds. 5 targets eliminated. 0 friendly casualties. Clean, Daiho reported, checking the bodies. Move up, Bora ordered. So-young, you're with me to the command center. Daiho, take Jiwon and Hana and secure the docking bays. Make sure nothing leaves this station. Minho, hunt. Find someone alive who can talk. The team split up with practiced precision. They had done this kind of operation before, hitting pirate bases and smuggler stations during the war. But this felt different. There was an urgency driving them forward. Every second mattered. Bora and So-young moved through the station's corridors like ghosts. They encountered 3 more Vrakesh. 2 surrendered immediately when they saw armed humans. The third tried to fight and learned the hard way that humans had faster reflexes. So-young put him down with a single shot while barely breaking stride. The command center was sealed. Heavy doors. Good locks. So-young pulled out a device that looked like a simple cylinder but was actually extremely illegal military-grade hacking equipment. She attached it to the door's control panel. 30 seconds, she estimated. Behind them, footsteps approached. More Vrakesh coming. Bora took position, covering their backs. She counted at least 6 heat signatures approaching. They were trying to group up, gather numbers. Smart, but not smart enough. 20 seconds, So-young reported. The Vrakesh rounded the corner and saw Bora standing alone. They must have thought it was an easy target. 1 human woman against 6 armed aliens. They opened fire without hesitation. Bora had already moved. She rolled to the side as energy blasts scorched the wall where she had been standing. Coming up from her roll, she fired in a smooth motion. 2 Vrakesh dropped. She was already moving again before they hit the ground. The aliens were used to enemies who stood still and traded shots. They weren't prepared for someone who treated combat like a dance. Bora used their numbers against them, positioning so they couldn't all shoot at once without hitting each other. She picked them off methodically, one by one. Doors open, So-young announced. Bora dropped the last Vrakesh and stepped over the bodies into the command center. Inside, 2 more aliens sat at computer stations, their scaled hands frozen over controls. They stared at the armed human with wide eyes. Move and you die, Bora said simply. Cooperate and you live. Choose now. Both Vrakesh raised their hands, making a gesture that So-young recognized as surrender. Good. She moved to the computers, plugging in her own equipment. I need 5 minutes to download everything. Bora kept her weapon trained on the prisoners. Were there children brought through here? Human children? One Vrakesh stayed silent. The other one, younger and clearly terrified, started talking immediately. Yes. 3 days ago. 23 small humans. They were kept in holding bay too. Only for half a day. Then moved to transport ship. What ship? Where did it go? Vrakesh Commercial Hauler. Registration number VK7743. It was heading to Kelthara Prime, to the auction houses. The alien was shaking now. Please, we just work here. We don't ask questions about cargo. You should have asked, Bora said coldly. Those were children. Elsewhere in the station, Daiho's team had secured the docking bays. 2 Vrakesh ships were attempting to launch, trying to escape. Jiwon had anticipated this. He had already placed charges on both vessels' engines during their approach. Blow them, Daiho ordered. Jiwon pressed the detonator with a smile. The ships exploded in their docking cradles, metal twisting and melting. No one would be leaving to warn anyone about human soldiers operating in this sector. Hana was treating a wounded Vrakesh who had been injured in the initial breach. She worked efficiently, stopping bleeding and stabilizing injuries. The alien looked at her with confusion. unable to understand why someone who had been shooting at them moments ago was now saving their life. "Can't interrogate dead people," Hana explained with her unsettling smile. "You're going to tell us everything you know, and then maybe you get to keep living." The Vrakesh told them everything. Minho had been hunting through the station's lower levels. He found the holding bay where the children had been kept. The cells were small, barely large enough for a human child to lie down. The sight made something cold settle in his chest. He took pictures. Evidence. Then he found a Vrakesh hiding in a storage room. The alien tried to beg for mercy, but Minho just grabbed it and dragged it back to the team. This one would face justice. Human justice. 20 minutes after the breach began, the team regrouped in the command center. So-young had finished downloading all the station's data. Daeho reported the docking bays were secure. Minho brought his prisoner, throwing the terrified alien at Bora's feet. "Talk," Bora commanded. "Everything about the transport ship, where it's going, when the auction is, who's buying." The Vrakesh talked. Fear made the words pour out in a rush. The transport ship VK-7743 was carrying the human children to Kelthara Prime, a planet in the Krevath sector known for illegal trade. The auction was scheduled in 2 days. Several wealthy buyers had already expressed interest. The children would be separated and sold individually to the highest bidders. "Who authorized taking human children?" Bora asked. "It was a special order," the alien whimpered, "from someone high up in the Vrakesh collective. They said humans were too new to the galaxy. No one would miss a few children from an outer colony. The council wouldn't investigate seriously. It was supposed to be safe." Bora's eyes went cold. "Safe. You thought taking our children was safe." She turned to So-young. "Send a burst transmission to Earth. Tell them what we found. Include all the data. Make sure the council gets a copy too." "What about them?" Daeho gestured to the prisoners. Bora considered. "Leave them alive. Let them spread the word. Let every slaver and criminal in this sector know what happened here." She looked at the terrified Vrakesh. "Tell your bosses that humans came for information. Tell them we're hunting the transport ship. Tell them that every single person involved in taking our children will be held accountable." "Can you remember that?" The alien nodded frantically. "Good." Bora stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper that somehow felt more threatening than shouting. "And tell them one more thing. We're not like the other species. We don't forgive, we don't forget, and we're just getting started." The team withdrew to the silent vengeance, leaving the station crippled and terrified. As they pulled away, Ji-won detonated one final charge, destroying the station's long-range communications array. The Vrakesh here wouldn't be calling for help anytime soon. Inside the ship, So-young analyzed the stolen data. "I have the transport ship's route. They're heading through the Narvi Passage. If we push our engines, we can intercept them before they reach Kelthara." "Then that's what we do," Bora said. "Daeho, plot the fastest course. Everyone else rest and rearm. When we catch that transport, this won't be a quick raid. We're going in hard." The silent vengeance jumped into faster-than-light travel, leaving the shattered station behind. Word would spread from here. Stories of humans who came without warning, struck without mercy, and vanished like demons. The galaxy was about to learn something the Vrakesh should have known from the start. You don't steal Earth's children, not without consequences. The transport ship VK-7743 moved through deep space, far from any inhabited systems. Its captain, a Vrakesh named Throck, felt satisfied with himself. The cargo in the hold represented a massive profit. 23 human children, rare and exotic. The buyers on Kelthara Prime would compete desperately for such unique specimens. Throck had done this kind of work for years. He knew how to avoid patrols, how to stay off official routes, how to make cargo disappear into the black market. The Galactic Council was too slow and too bound by rules to catch someone like him. This would be easy money. He had no idea that death was approaching at high speed. On the silent Vengeance, Bora stood in the command center studying the tactical display. The red dot representing the Vrakesh transport was only 30 minutes ahead now. They had pushed their engines hard, gaining ground with every passing hour. "Target vessel is holding steady course," Deho reported. "No indication they've detected us. Their sensors are commercial grade. We're running full stealth." "Weapon status?" Bora asked. "Armed and ready, though for a transport ship, we might be overkill." "I don't want to destroy them," Bora said. "I want to board them. The children are on that ship. We need a surgical strike." So-young looked up from her station. "I can jam their communications when we get close. They won't be able to call for help." "Do it. And So-young, once we board, I need you to find their cargo manifest. I want to know exactly where those children are being held." The team assembled in the boarding bay. They wore full combat armor now, sealed against vacuum. Magnetic boots for zero-gravity combat. Weapons loaded with ammunition designed to punch through ship hulls without causing explosive decompression. This was going to be close quarters fighting in a confined space. Dangerous for everyone. Minho checked his equipment silently. Beside him, Ji-won was testing a breaching charge, making sure it would cut through the transport's hull cleanly. Hana was organizing medical supplies, though her smile suggested she expected to use her weapons more than her bandages. "Listen up," Bora addressed the team. "The children are somewhere in that ship. They're scared. They've been prisoners for days. When we breach, they might panic. We need to find them fast, secure them, and get them out." "What about the crew?" Daiho asked. "Anyone who fights dies. Anyone who surrenders gets restrained. But our priority is the children. Everything else is secondary." Bora's voice was hard. "These slavers chose to traffic in children. They don't deserve mercy, but we're not here for revenge. We're here for a rescue." The silent Vengeance closed to within 1 kilometer of the transport. At this range, even commercial sensors should have detected them. But So-young's jamming and the stealth systems made them invisible. The transport continued on, unaware of the predator stalking it. "Matching velocity," Deho reported. "Coming alongside now." The two ships drifted closer until they were nearly touching. Through the viewport, Bora could see the transport's hull, old, scarred metal. This ship had been through a lot. It was about to go through more. "Breach," Bora commanded. Ji-won activated his charge. A controlled explosion cut through the transport's hull, creating an opening large enough for armored soldiers to pass through. Air vented for a moment before the silent Vengeance's boarding tube sealed the gap. The team flowed through like water, weapons ready. They emerged into a cargo corridor. Alarms were screaming now throughout the transport. Emergency lights flashed red. A Vrakesh crew member appeared around a corner, carrying a wrench like a weapon. He saw the armed humans and froze. Minho shot him with a tranquilizer dart before he could scream. The alien collapsed, unconscious. "Non-lethal when possible," Bora reminded the team. "But don't take risks." They moved through the transport systematically. Deho and Ji-won cleared the engine room, finding 3 crew members who surrendered immediately. Minho secured them with restraints, while Ji-won disabled the ship's propulsion systems. This vessel wasn't going anywhere. Bora and So-young headed for the bridge. They encountered more crew members along the way. Most surrendered. 2 tried to fight. They learned that humans were faster and more aggressive than they expected. Hana patched up their wounds afterward, humming cheerfully while they groaned in pain. The bridge door was locked. So-young attached her hacking device. 30 seconds. Inside, Captain Throck was panicking. His ship had been boarded by something. His sensors showed nothing, but the hull breach was real. The alarms were real. And the screaming from his crew over the communication system was definitely real. "Who are you?" he shouted into the ship-wide intercom. "This is a registered commercial vessel. You're committing piracy." The bridge door exploded inward. Throck spun to see two figures in black armor enter, weapons raised. They moved with mechanical precision, scanning the bridge and identifying all targets in seconds. Bora stepped forward, removing her helmet so Throck could see her face. "Where are the children?" Throck's three eyes widened. "You're human. How did you find us so quickly? I asked you a question. Answer or die. Choose quickly." The Vrakesh captain looked at the weapon pointed at his head. He had thought humans were soft, civilized, bound by rules. The coldness in this woman's eyes told him otherwise. "Lower cargo hold," he said quickly. "Section C. They're in stasis pods, unharmed. I swear they're unharmed." "So-Young, verify," Bora ordered. The intelligence specialist accessed the ship's computer, her fingers flying across the interface. "Confirmed. 23 life signs in lower cargo hold, Section C. Vital signs stable." Relief flooded through Bora, though her expression didn't change. "Daeho, take Hana and Minho. Get those children out of stasis and check them for injuries. Jiwon, secure the crew. So-Young, download everything from this ship's computer. I want records of every transaction, every buyer, every person involved in this operation." The team moved to execute their orders. Bora kept her weapon trained on Throck. "You made a mistake," she said quietly. "You took human children. You treated them like cargo, like things to be sold." "It was just business," Throck protested. "Your species is new to the galaxy. We didn't think—" "That's your problem. You didn't think. You assumed we were like the other species, soft, bound by galactic laws, willing to wait for the council to investigate." Bora leaned closer. "We're not." In the lower cargo hold, Daeho found the children. They were in stasis pods, kept unconscious to prevent panic and resistance. It was a mercy in some ways, but seeing them trapped like this made rage burn in his chest. "Start waking them slowly," he told Hana. "We don't want them to panic." Hana moved from pod to pod, administering the wake-up drugs carefully. One by one, the children began to stir. The first to wake was a 12-year-old boy. He opened his eyes, confused and frightened. "Taiyang?" Daeho asked, remembering the name from the briefing. The boy nodded slowly. "Where am I? What happened?" "You're safe now. I'm Captain Daeho. We're human soldiers. We came to get you." Taeyang tried to sit up. "The others? My sister Nari? Are they okay?" "We're waking everyone up. You've been asleep for a while. The aliens who took you are being dealt with." More children woke up. Some cried. Some were too shocked to react. An 8-year-old girl named Eunji looked around frantically until she saw Taeyang, then grabbed his hand tight. Minho worked to calm them, speaking softly, assuring them they were going home. Hana checked each child medically. Aside from being sedated and scared, they were physically unharmed. The Vrakesh had kept them in good condition because damaged merchandise was worth less. That cold calculation made Hana's smile disappear for a moment, replaced by something darker. "They're stable," she reported to Bora over the communication system. "All 23 accounted for. Some are in shock, but nothing permanent. They're going to be okay." On the bridge, Bora received the report and felt a weight lift from her shoulders. They had done it. The children were safe. Now came the second part of the mission. "So-Young, what do we have?" The intelligence specialist looked up from the computer, and her expression was grim. "This is worse than we thought. The transport's records show this isn't the first time Vrakesh slavers have taken human children. There have been 3 previous incidents over the past year, different colonies, 27 children total before this group." The words hit Bora like a physical blow. 27 more children? The records show where they were sold. Private collectors, research facilities, some were bought by entertainment companies. So-Young's voice was shaking with barely controlled anger. "And there are upcoming auctions scheduled. More planned abductions from human colonies. Bora looked at Throck. The Vrakesh captain saw death in her eyes. "Please," he begged. "I was just following orders. The collective organized everything. We're just transport." "Just transport," Bora repeated. "You're right. You're not the head of the snake. You're just one of the fangs." She made a decision. "Jiwon, bring the crew to the cargo bay, all of them. Restrain them securely." "What are you going to do?" Throck asked fearfully. "I'm going to send a message. The Vrakesh collective needs to understand something. Taking our children has consequences. Real consequences." The crew was gathered in the cargo bay, restrained and terrified. 23 Vrakesh, who had thought this would be an easy job. Bora stood before them, her armor still marked with carbon scoring from the breach. "You trafficked children," she said. "Human children who had families, parents who loved them, communities that protected them. You took them to sell like animals." "The council will hear about this," one crew member shouted. "You can't just attack merchant vessels." "The council takes months to investigate," Bora said coldly. "We took days to hunt you. The council follows protocol. We follow our children. And here's what's going to happen. We're taking the children home. We're taking your ship's data. And we're going to track down every person, every organization, every buyer involved in this trade." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Some of you will stand trial for your crimes. Others will serve as messengers. You're going to tell the Vrakesh Collective and everyone else in this galaxy something very important. You're going to tell them that humans protect their young. Always. Without exception. And anyone who forgets this will be reminded." Bora turned to her team. "Strip this ship of anything useful. Leave the crew enough life support to reach the nearest station. And So-Young, make sure every piece of data from their computers is transmitted to Earth and the Galactic Council. I want everyone to see what these slavers have been doing." The Silent Vengeance separated from the transport 2 hours later. The children were aboard, safe and cared for. The transport was left drifting, its crew alive but their operation destroyed. As they jumped into faster-than-light travel toward home, Bora went to check on the children. She found them in the crew quarters, wrapped in blankets, drinking hot chocolate that Hana had made. They looked small and vulnerable, but alive. Yunji saw her and ran over. "You came for us." "Taeyang said someone would come, but I was scared no one would." Bora knelt down and, for the first time in days, allowed herself to feel the emotion she had been holding back. "I promised your mother I would always protect you. I keep my promises." Taeyang approached, holding his little sister Nari's hand. "Thank you," he said simply, "for coming for us." "You kept the others calm," Bora observed. "That was brave." "I just did what I thought you would do," Taeyang said. "Never give up. Never stop fighting." Bora smiled. "You're going to be okay, all of you. We're taking you home." As the ship raced through space toward New Serenity, Bora returned to the command center. Daiho was reviewing the data they had taken from the transport. "This is bigger than we thought," he said. "The Vrakesh Collective has been running this operation for over a year, and it's not just them. There are buyers from a dozen different species." "Then we don't stop here," Bora said. "We find them all. Every slaver, every buyer, every person who thought they could profit from our children." "The council won't approve," Daiho warned. "I don't need their approval," Bora said. "I need results." The hunt had only just begun. The Silent Vengeance could have returned directly to New Serenity. The mission was complete. The children were safe. But as Bora reviewed the data stolen from the transport ship, she realized the work was far from finished. In her private quarters, she studied the records on her display screen. Names, locations, transaction histories. The Vrakesh Collective had been trafficking human children for over a year, and the operation was extensive. 27 children before this most recent abduction, all sold to different buyers across 3 sectors of space. So-young entered without knocking. "You're not thinking of going home yet, are you?" Bora didn't look up from the screen. "There are 27 more children out there, taken from their families, living with aliens who bought them like pets. We don't have authorization for a rescue operation across multiple sectors." The council hasn't done anything," Bora interrupted. "They filed reports and opened investigations that will take years. Meanwhile, human children are property in some alien's private collection." She finally looked at So-young. "I'm not leaving them." "The team will follow you," So-young said. "You know that. But this isn't a quick raid anymore. This is a campaign, multiple targets, different species, some in areas where humans have no jurisdiction." "Good," Bora said simply. "Let them hide behind jurisdiction. We'll show them that some things transcend borders." The team assembled in the command center. Bora pulled up a map of the Krevath sector, showing multiple locations marked in red. "These are the buyers who purchased human children. Some are private collectors. Some are research facilities. One is an entertainment company that uses exotic species in shows." Jiwon studied the map. "That's a lot of ground to cover, and some of those places will have serious security. Then we'll need to be creative." Bora zoomed in on the nearest target. "This is our first priority, a private estate on Velroth 4 owned by a wealthy trader named Kesh. He purchased 2 human children 6 months ago, a brother and sister from a mining colony." "What's his security like?" Daeho asked. So-young brought up detailed scans. "Heavy, private guards, automated defenses, shielded compound. He's paranoid." "With good reason," Minho observed quietly. "We hit him in 3 days," Bora said. "That gives us time to scout the target and plan the approach. But before we go in, I want the galaxy to know what we're doing and why." She turned to So-young. "Prepare a data package. Include everything from the Vrakesh transport, the names of the slavers, the locations of the buyers, the evidence of the trafficking operation. Send it to every major news network in the galaxy, the Council, Earth's government, everyone." "That will cause chaos," So-young said. "Some of those buyers are wealthy and connected. They'll deny everything. Their governments will protect them." "Let them try," Bora said coldly. "Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Once everyone knows what they've done, hiding becomes harder." The data release hit the galactic news networks like a bomb. Within hours, every species with access to communication systems was seeing the evidence. Images of human children in stasis pods, transaction records showing sales, communications between slavers discussing their operations. The reaction was immediate and divided. Some species were horrified, demanding action. Others were defensive, claiming the information was fabricated. But the evidence was too detailed to dismiss easily. On Earth, the government was forced to respond. The public was outraged. Citizens demanded military action. Politicians called for sanctions. The Earth ambassador to the Galactic Council made formal protests and threatened to withdraw from several treaties. The Galactic Council itself was thrown into emergency session. Some members wanted to condemn Earth for releasing classified information. Others wanted to condemn the trafficking. The debate grew heated, with no clear resolution. As usual, the council was paralyzed by procedure. But Princess Bora didn't wait for the council to reach a decision. She was already moving. The estate on Velroth 4 sat in a valley surrounded by mountains. Beautiful location. Remote. Private. Kesh had built his compound here specifically to avoid attention. He collected rare and unusual things, showing them off to wealthy friends at exclusive parties. Among his collection were 2 human children, a boy named Junho, aged 9, and his sister Mina, aged 7. Bora's team spent 2 days observing the compound. Minho scouted the perimeter, mapping guard patterns and security systems. So-young hacked into the estate's network, gathering building layouts and schedules. Jiwon studied the walls and defenses, planning how to breach them. "He has 20 guards," Daeho reported. Most are mercenaries, well-armed but not particularly well-trained. The automated defenses are more concerning. Turrets, sensors, energy shields. Can we disable them? Bora asked. So-young nodded. I can create a feedback loop in their power system. It will take the shields down for about 30 seconds. The turrets will go into safe mode during the power fluctuation. 30 seconds isn't much time, Ji-won observed. Then we'll move fast, Bora said. Ji-won, I need you to breach the main wall here. She pointed to a spot on the map. Daeho, take Minho through the breach and secure the children. So-young and Hana with me. We're going to have a conversation with Kesh. The attack came at dawn. The estate's security systems flickered and died as So-young's hack took effect. In that brief window, Ji-won's charges blew a hole in the compound's wall. The team poured through before the guards could react. The mercenaries were professionals, but they weren't prepared for the speed and violence of the assault. Daeho and Minho moved through the estate like shadows, dropping guards with tranquilizer rounds. Anyone who reached for a weapon went down before they could fire. Bora found Kesh in his private gallery, surrounded by his collection. Rare artifacts, exotic plants. And in a special room designed like a human home, 2 children. They wore clean clothes and looked physically healthy, but their eyes showed the trauma of 6 months in captivity. Kesh stood frozen as Bora entered, her weapon trained on him. He was a Talrasi, a species known for their obsession with collecting. 4 arms, crystalline skin, multiple eyes. He looked at the armed human with confusion rather than fear. You're trespassing, he said calmly. I will call the authorities. Please do, Bora said. I'd love to explain to them why you're holding human children prisoner. Prisoner? They're my acquisitions. Legally purchased from licensed traders. I have all the proper documentation. You bought children. You took them from their families and kept them like pets. Kesh seemed genuinely puzzled. They're well cared for, fed, educated, protected. This is much better than some primitive colony where they would have limited opportunities. The words made Bora's finger tighten on the trigger. This creature actually believed he had done something good. They're not yours. They never were. Those children have parents who are crying themselves to sleep every night. Communities that miss them. Lives that were stolen. I paid good money for them, Kesh protested. The traders assured me everything was legitimate. The traders were slavers, and now you're going to face consequences for your actions. Bora signaled Hana, who moved to the children. They were scared, pressing themselves against the wall. Hana knelt down, removing her helmet so they could see her human face. I'm Hana. We're here to take you home. To your real home. With your family. Junho looked at her with wide eyes. Our parents? Are they alive? They're alive. And they've been looking for you every day since you were taken. The boy started crying. His sister joined him. 6 months of being strong, of surviving, finally broke. Hana gathered them both close while Minho secured the room. Bora turned back to Kesh. Here's what's going to happen. We're taking the children. We're taking your collection records to find any other victims, and you're going to send a message to every collector, every buyer, every person who thought they could own human children. What message? Kesh asked, fear finally entering his voice. That humanity doesn't forgive, and we don't forget. Ji-won had planted charges throughout the compound, not to kill, but to destroy. As the team withdrew with the rescued children, explosions ripped through the estate. The automated defenses exploded. The walls crumbled. Kesh's precious collection burned. The compound's destruction was recorded by media drones that So-young had anonymously tipped off. The footage spread across the galaxy within hours. A wealthy collector's estate in ruins. Human soldiers rescuing children. A clear message. This is what happens when you traffic in human lives. But Bora wasn't finished. Over the next 2 weeks, her team struck 6 more targets. a research facility that had been studying human children like laboratory specimens, an entertainment company that forced children to perform in shows, private collectors who displayed children like exotic art. Each operation followed the same pattern: swift assault, rescue the children, destroy the facility, leave evidence for authorities, and always make sure the media captured it. Jiwan's demolition work became legendary. He didn't just destroy buildings. He made them burn in ways that cameras couldn't ignore. Towers collapsed in spectacular fashion. Compounds erupted in carefully controlled explosions. Each site became a monument to humanity's fury. The galaxy watched in shock. Some species called it terrorism. Others called it justice. The Galactic Council issued condemnations and demands for Earth to control its military. Earth's response was simple: control your criminals first. The rescued children were taken to a secure human facility where doctors and counselors worked to help them heal. Many were reunited with their families immediately. Others needed time to recover before going home. But all of them were safe now, away from the aliens who had bought them. On the Silent Vengeance, Bora reviewed their progress. 27 children rescued, 15 trafficking operations destroyed. But the data showed there were still more victims out there, scattered across the galaxy. Daeho entered her quarters. "We're getting messages from Earth Command. They want us to return. The Council is threatening sanctions. The diplomatic situation is getting complicated." "How many children are still missing?" Bora asked. "According to the records, at least 40 more. Different operations, different slavers. Some of the trails are cold." "Then we keep hunting." Bora stood up, her decision made. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them I'm operating under my authority as a princess of Earth. This mission continues until every human child is accounted for." "They won't like that," Daeho warned. "They don't have to like it. They just have to support it." So-young appeared at the door. "We have a problem. The Vrakesh Collective just issued an official statement. They're apologizing for the trafficking and promising to stop all operations involving human subjects. They're also offering reparations." Bora raised an eyebrow. "They're surrendering?" "Not surrendering. More like terrified. The statement specifically mentions wanting to avoid further conflict with humanity." So-young smiled slightly. "I think they've realized that we're not like the other species. We actually follow through on our threats." "Good," Bora said. "Fear is a powerful teacher. When the entire galaxy sees what happens when you take our children, others will think twice." Hana joined them, her perpetual smile back in place. "What's next? I'm getting bored without anyone to shoot at." Bora pulled up a new map showing more target locations. "We're not done. There are still children out there who need rescue, facilities that need to be destroyed, people who need to learn that humanity protects its own. The galaxy is calling us vigilantes," Minho said quietly from the doorway. "Let them," Bora replied. "History is written by those who take action, not those who wait for permission." The Silent Vengeance jumped into faster-than-light travel, heading toward the next target. Behind them, the galaxy was learning a new lesson. Humanity had joined the galactic community, but on their own terms, and those terms included one unbreakable rule: touch our children and face the consequences. 3 weeks had passed since the Silent Vengeance first left New Serenity. Now the ship returned, carrying precious cargo. 23 children rescued from slavers finally going home. The entire colony gathered at the landing field. Parents stood in the front, holding each other, crying before the ship even touched down. Behind them, hundreds of colonists waited in silence. The morning sun cast long shadows across the field, but hope lit every face. The ship landed gently, and for a long moment, nothing happened. Then the loading ramp lowered with a hiss of hydraulics. Bora appeared first, stepping into the sunlight. Behind her, one by one, the children emerged. Hyunwoo saw Taeyang first, holding Nari's hand. The boy looked older somehow, like he had grown up in 3 weeks. But he was alive. He was home. Hyunwoo ran forward, Mireille beside him. They grabbed their children and held them tight, sobbing too hard to speak. All around the field, parents reunited with their children. Dong-yun fell to his knees, hugging his daughter. A mother named Soo-jin kept touching her son's face like she couldn't believe he was real. Tears and laughter mixed together in a wave of pure emotion. Yoonji stood apart from the chaos, looking around uncertainly. Then her foster parents appeared, running toward her. She broke down crying and ran to meet them. They caught her and held on like they would never let go. Bora watched from the bottom of the ramp. Daeho stood beside her along with the rest of the team. They had all seen combat before. They had all completed difficult missions. But this was different. This was seeing the direct result of their actions. Families whole again. Children safe. "We did good work," Daeho said quietly. "We did necessary work," Bora corrected. "But it's not finished." Administrator Junho approached, his face showing relief and gratitude. "Princess Bora, we cannot thank you enough. You brought our children home when the council said we had to wait. You gave us back what we thought was lost forever." "The council was wrong," Bora said simply. "When children are in danger, you don't wait, you act. Still, there will be consequences for your actions. The Galactic Council is very unhappy. They've filed formal protests. Some species are calling for Earth to be sanctioned." Bora's expression hardened. "Let them try. Earth joined the galactic community, but we never agreed to abandon our values. We protect our own, always." Over the next few hours, the celebration continued. The colony prepared a feast. Tables were set up in the central square. Food and drink appeared from every household. People who had been strangers became family through shared relief and joy. Hyunwoo found Bora standing apart from the celebration, watching the crowd. He approached with Taeyang and Nari beside him. "Your Highness, I wanted to thank you personally. You saved our children when everyone else said it was impossible." Bora looked at Taeyang. "Your son is brave. When we found them on the transport, he had been keeping the other children calm, telling them someone would come. He never stopped believing." Taeyang looked down, embarrassed. "I just did what I thought was right." "That's what courage is," Bora said. "Doing what's right even when you're scared." Nari tugged on Bora's sleeve. "Are the bad aliens gone? Will they come back?" Bora knelt down to the little girl's eye level. "Some of the bad aliens are gone. Others are scared now. They learned that taking human children has consequences. Real consequences. And we'll keep teaching that lesson to anyone who forgets." "So we're safe?" Nari asked. "You're safer than you were before," Bora said. "Because now the whole galaxy knows that humans protect their children. And anyone who tries to hurt you will have to deal with people like me." Mireille wiped tears from her eyes. "What happens now? Will you go back to Earth?" "Not yet," Bora said. "There are still more children out there, taken from other colonies, sold to other buyers. The mission isn't finished." The celebration continued into the evening. As darkness fell, lights were strung up across the square. Music played. Children ran and played, laughing in a way that had seemed impossible 3 weeks ago. The nightmare was over. But in the command center, Bora and her team were already planning the next operation. So-young had identified 12 more locations where human children might be held. Some were confirmed. Others were possibilities based on trafficking patterns. "Earth Command is ordering us to return," Daeho said, reading a message. "They say the diplomatic situation is becoming untenable. Several species are threatening to break treaties with Earth if we continue these operations." "Let them break the treaties," Bora said. What good are treaties if they don't protect our children? The Council is also threatening action, So-young added. They're talking about sanctions, travel restrictions. They might even expel Earth from the galactic community. Ji-won laughed. Let them try. Earth has the strongest military in this sector. We don't need their permission to exist. It's not that simple, Daeho said. Earth's economy depends on galactic trade. Our colonies need access to jump gates. Our scientists collaborate with alien researchers. Isolation would hurt us. Bora was silent for a moment, considering. Contact Earth Command directly. Request a video conference with the Prime Minister. 20 minutes later, the screen in the command center showed the face of Earth's Prime Minister, an older woman named Sun-hee, who had led the planet through first contact and integration into the galactic community. Her expression was stern. Princess Bora, you've created a diplomatic nightmare. Half the galaxy wants to sanction us. The other half is demanding we recall you and prosecute you for war crimes. With respect, Prime Minister, I don't care what the galaxy wants. I care about human children who were kidnapped and sold. I understand your motivations, but we have to consider the bigger picture. Earth's place in the galactic community is worthless if that community allows our children to be trafficked, Bora interrupted. We spent decades preparing to join the galaxy, learning their languages, adapting to their customs, following their rules. And the first time our children were taken, the Council told us to wait months for an investigation. Sun-hee sighed. I know, and the people of Earth are outraged. Your actions have massive public support here. But the political reality is that we set a precedent, Bora said. If we back down now, we're telling the galaxy that their rules matter more than our children, that we'll accept whatever they do to us as long as we get to keep trading with them. What do you propose? Sun-hee asked. I propose we finish what we started. There are still children out there who need rescue. Once they're all home, we can negotiate with the Council from a position of strength. They'll have to accept that humanity has limits, lines that can't be crossed. The Prime Minister was quiet for a long moment. Then she made her decision. Continue your operations. Bring our children home. I'll handle the Council and the diplomatic fallout. But Bora, understand something. This changes everything. Earth's relationship with the galaxy will never be the same. Good, Bora said. Maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe they need to understand that we're not just another species joining their club. We're partners. But we're partners who will fight for our own. The video conference ended. Daeho looked at Bora with concern. You just committed Earth to a confrontation with the entire Galactic Council. No, Bora said. I committed us to protecting our children. If that means confrontation, so be it. Minho spoke up from his position at the sensor station. We're receiving a transmission. It's from the Vrakesh Collective, official channel. Put it through, Bora ordered. A Vrakesh appeared on the screen, wearing formal robes that indicated high rank. Princess Bora of Earth, I am Coordinator Thrax of the Vrakesh Collective Council. I am authorized to speak on behalf of my species. Speak then, Bora said coldly. The collective wishes to formally apologize for the actions of our traders. The trafficking of sentient beings, especially children, violates our own laws. Those responsible will be prosecuted. We are also prepared to offer compensation to the victims and their families. Compensation? Bora's voice was dangerous. You think money fixes this? We understand that material compensation is inadequate, but we wish to make amends. More importantly, we wish to ensure this never happens again. The collective is issuing new regulations regarding contact with human worlds. All Vrakesh vessels are prohibited from approaching human colonies without explicit authorization. Any violations will be punished severely. Why the sudden concern? Bora asked. 3 weeks ago, you didn't care about our children. Thrax hesitated. 3 weeks ago, we did not understand humanity. We thought you were like the other species, bound by rules, slow to act, willing to negotiate. We were wrong. Your actions have demonstrated that humans are different, dangerous. You pursue your objectives without regard for diplomatic niceties or galactic conventions. That's your polite way of saying you're scared, Bora observed. Yes, Thrax admitted. We are scared. You destroyed our operations in 3 weeks. Operations the Council couldn't shut down in decades. You attacked targets across multiple sectors without hesitation. You ignored borders and jurisdictions. You made it clear that threatening human children results in immediate violent retaliation. He paused. The Collective does not wish to be your enemy. Then stop taking our children. Stop selling sentient beings. And if you hear of anyone else doing it, you contact Earth immediately. Those are the terms. Agreed, Thrax said quickly. The Collective will comply. After the transmission ended, Hana laughed. Did we just terrify an entire species into behaving? We showed them consequences, Bora said. Something the Council never does. They debate and form committees and issue statements. We acted, and now the Vrakesh know that actions have results. The next morning, Bora prepared to leave New Serenity again. The children were safe with their families. The colony was celebrating. But the mission wasn't complete. There were still more children to rescue. Before boarding the Silent Vengeance, she visited one last place, the colony's memorial garden, where names of those lost were recorded. A new section had been added recently. Temporary markers for the 23 children who had been taken. Now those markers were being removed, replaced with flowers celebrating their return. Taiyang found her there. You're leaving again, he said. It wasn't a question. There are more children who need help, Bora said. I can't stop until they're all home. Will you come back someday? To visit? Bora smiled slightly. Maybe. When the work is done. What should I tell Yunji? She keeps asking when you'll visit her. Tell her I'm keeping my promise, protecting her and all the others. Bora looked at the young boy. You're going to be okay, Taiyang. You're strong. You survived something terrible and stayed brave. That's special. I was scared the whole time, Taiyang admitted. Being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means being scared and doing the right thing anyway. Bora put a hand on his shoulder. Remember that. And remember that humanity looks after its own. Always. The Silent Vengeance lifted off an hour later. The colony watched it go, this time with hope instead of desperation. They knew what that ship represented. Justice, protection, the promise that no matter how far away the danger, someone would come. On the bridge, Bora stood looking at the star map. 12 locations marked in red, 12 possible sites where human children might be held. The galaxy was vast, but it wasn't big enough to hide from determination. Where to next? Deho asked. Bora pointed to the nearest red marker. There, a facility on Corvin 7. Intelligence suggests they're holding at least 6 human children. That's in Tarshak space, Soyoung observed. The Tarshak government has already filed protests about our operations. They won't be happy if we violate their territory. Then they should have done something about the trafficking happening in their space, Bora said. If they won't clean their house, we will. The ship jumped into faster-than-light travel, disappearing from New Serenity's sensors. Behind them, the colony returned to normal life. But across the galaxy, the story was spreading. Stories of human soldiers who came without warning, who struck without mercy, who never stopped until their children were safe. Other species watched and learned, some with fear, some with respect, some with both. The humans were different from everyone else in the galaxy. They didn't follow the same rules. They didn't accept the same limitations. And when their young were threatened, they became something primal and terrifying. Predators. On distant worlds, criminals who dealt in trafficking heard the stories and made new decisions. Human colonies were now off limits. The risk wasn't worth the profit. Not when failure meant facing hunters who would chase you across the galaxy. The Galactic Council convened emergency sessions to discuss Earth's actions. Some members demanded sanctions, others argued for understanding. The debates would continue for months, maybe years. But while they debated, Princess Bora and her team continued their work. They found the facility on Corvin 7 and extracted 6 children. They hit a slave market on Draven 3 and freed 4 more. Each operation added to humanity's reputation. Each rescue sent a clearer message. Don't take our children, don't mistake our civility for weakness. Don't assume we'll follow your rules when our family is threatened. 6 months after the mission began, Bora's team rescued the last confirmed victim, a boy named Min Jun, taken from a colony 2 years ago. He was older now, traumatized by his experience, but alive. When Bora returned him to his family, she finally felt the weight lift from her shoulders. The mission was complete. Every known victim had been recovered. Every trafficking operation had been destroyed or scared into shutting down. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Bora returned to Earth to a hero's welcome. Millions celebrated in the streets. The Prime Minister personally decorated her and her team. But Bora felt no pride, only satisfaction that a job was done. In a quiet ceremony, she met with all the families whose children she had rescued. 73 children in total. 73 families who had their loved ones back. They thanked her with tears and embraces. They called her a savior. But Bora knew the truth. She wasn't a savior. She was just someone who refused to accept that children could be taken without consequence. She was human, and humans protected their own. Years later, when new species joined the galactic community, they all learned about the incident. About the princess who burned across 3 sectors hunting slavers, about the team that defied the council to bring children home, about the species called humanity who would cross any line to protect their young. It became a legend, a warning, a promise. Touch human children and the hunters will come, not diplomats, not investigators, hunters, and they will never, ever stop.